Underground dialogue, we gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? No, not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. Underground dialogue, we gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? No, not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. From the industry to the Oval Office, we expose the darkest motives of them all and disclose what the protocol is. Thinking and moving logical, stopping every maneuver possible, and apologizing for truth is not optional. We gon' help you with what you go through, reshape and mold you, and sweep over them weak lies they told you. If you living with no clue, we gon' deprogram the old you, and you get to keep your soul too.
What's going on, man? It's your big brother K. Reno.
Your boy Keith Stove.
Y'all are tuned in again to another episode of the Underground Dialogue Podcast, where the name speaks for itself. And tonight,
yes, sir,
sitting in the legend seat, man. This brother here, he is so layered and multifaceted in terms of his work as a student minister in the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's been dedicated to the service of black people for many, many, many years, but he's also an accomplished author, and some might say in this day and time that they might try to throw him in the category as a ufologist. But that's a lightweight term compared to what this brother does, because he is connected to the connection that these things that we call UFOs and UAPs and all that connection to us as black people, to God, to America, and to the world as a whole. So we are honored to have our brother in the building, Brother Ilia Rashad Muhammad. What's going on, family member?
Oh man, you got it, big brother. Y'all got it, man. Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Yes,
I'm honored, brother.
Bro, I'm excited. I'm ready to rock and roll, man. I feel like it's a big plate of food in front of me, and I ain't eaten in 4 months. We getting ready to rock and roll. This whole thing
You gonna
about
go straight to it?
Huh?
You going
we're going straight in, bro. You don't let the food get cold. You start eating.
Let's go.
But this whole, I guess, phenomena about UFOs and what's called, unidentified flying objects and all that's been like a big theme in the world for many decades. But it's also been kind of falsely presented to the public. Kind of give us some background on you, and then lead into how you got involved in this, and we'll go right in.
Absolutely. As you stated earlier, I'm Brother Ilia Rashad Muhammad. Just one of those brothers, one of thousands of helpers of our brother, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I'm one of those brothers, like others, that's just kind of like finding their lane and finding their place in this divine work. And so I've been in the ranks of the Nation of Islam for almost 30 years now. Man, I'm feeling old now.
Oh,
I came in as a teenager, fresh out of high school, in college, and I was attracted to the nation then, just like now, over the profound teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I realized how misunderstood these profound teachings have been and still are in many cases. And so I just felt compelled at a certain point to stand up and defend the truth that we've been given. Not just because it's the truth, but it is literally that truth that is so beneficial and necessary for our people, especially in this day and time. So then, like now, I felt compelled to stand up and try to defend this teaching and defend this wisdom. And that's what led us to taking on this subject of UFOs, as they call it.
Right.
Of course, this is a topic that is inherently connected to the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. In fact, I tell people, and the research bears witness, that it was the Nation of Islam who introduced this subject of these wheel-shaped planes in the real world. And this goes back to the early 30s. And so since so many have not understood the works and efforts of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the profound wisdom and teachings and guidance that was given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we are here today to really show the world, man, that man has been right. Well, these men, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, are straight up right and exact.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You wrote this book which has become one of my favorite books. I was telling y'all off camera, I don't go anywhere without this book, anywhere without it. It's called UFOs in the Nation of Islam, the Source, Proof, and the Reality of the Wheels. When the average person, you know, they may know the term UFO, but they're not familiar when they hear that term wheel.
Yeah.
So kind of give some clarity on when you hear people in the nation say the wheel, the wheel, the wheel.
Yes, sir. Well, we are more familiar with the term UFOs in the public, what they call unidentified flying objects, and now they call them UAP, which was unidentified aerial phenomena, and now UAP is supposed to mean unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Wow.
And that which is anomalous is that which is considered hard to figure out, somewhat problematic. Well, we've used the term wheels because we've always known what these planes are. They were never unidentified for the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam answered and identified this phenomena before the public even had questions about them. So we have always used the term wheels because that terminology is something that stems from the prophecies about these wheels of God, as shown in the book of Ezekiel in the Hebrew Bible, and all throughout the scriptures of Bible and even Holy Quran. We find where these prophecies of God and his angels operating from some type of heavenly vehicles. Now, the trip part about it, Brother K. Reno, Brother Keisto, is that all major religions teach this.
Yeah.
But it seems like the Nation of Islam are the only ones that show how this is fulfilled in the real world.
Yeah.
So that's where we are today.
Because I was reading on something that was saying how they say in the Bible, they say how God's going to come
In the clouds.
in the clouds. Yeah. And then they were saying like, well, where they was going, I guess it's when he descended, when he ascended up, they say he's going to come back the exact same way he came up. In the clouds. They kept saying in the clouds. But they don't ever show the you know, what that means and what's around it. I was trying to find, I couldn't find nothing about it.
Look,
Yeah.
the Nation of Islam literally fills the void of what all these religions have been teaching but never understood.
Yeah.
In fact, your religions, these scriptures that you read about God and his angels and these people going up in the clouds and coming back, it would not make any sense whatsoever without the clarity that the Nation of Islam brings to this subject. How you going to travel in the clouds unless you in some type of contraption, some type of plane that can allow you to travel in clouds? So we want to just demystify this whole subject matter.
And it's funny because you mentioned earlier how there was no conversation about these wheels and these crafts before the nation introduced it. So what sparked the, I guess, white America or the rest of the world to start jumping on board? I would assume sightings at some point, but now they kind of turn it around and make it to be something. Did they know in the beginning that it was a nation who introduced this, or was it something that caught them off guard and then they decided they put the pieces together later on?
Those at the very, very top of government intelligence and military intelligence have known about the Nation of Islam's inherent involvement in this phenomena, but the masses of the people, even the masses of those in government and military, to this day have no idea. And the reason that they have no idea is because this subject matter has been kept above top secret. And it is so secretive from their perspective that they make it almost illegal to even talk about it. I'm talking about your scholars. These are the people who are supposed to be the leaders of critical thinking, the educators who are supposed to take on difficult subject matters and analyze them, you know, up front. But when it comes to the UFO topic and its relationship with the Nation of Islam, it's a conspiracy of silence. You're not allowed to talk about it. And you'll notice that you will find no leader, black or white, on this planet who has been more vocal about his connection to these planes that they call UFOs more than the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and his teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yet, as much criticism, as much scrutiny, as much controversy that they put on these men, they pretty much refuse to even ask them about this most critical topic.
Yeah. Do you think it's because they've done the research and sort of like the pyramids or like the Sphinx? They already know what's the end result, who's actually going to be glorified in that, so they say shut that up immediately. That was aliens.
Say aliens did it, right?
The Martians.
That's exactly, you own it, Brother Keystone. That's exactly what it is, because when we, as students of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and as students of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when we approach this subject matter, we're not approaching it just coming strictly from a religious perspective. We are approaching this and challenging the world scholars to contend with us on it, not on the basis of religious interpretations, but on the basis of actual fact, on the basis of science. We are challenging and encouraging all those so-called critical thinkers, all those researchers, those historians, those leaders, those politicians to engage us in an intelligent dialogue. And there's still a refusal and an avoidance at even doing that.
And that would be, in my guess, because of the fact that they know that they would be proven wrong in all of the theory and in all of the falsehoods that they've been presented to the public. Because, and the last thing they ever want to do is admit that the nation was right.
Well, they'll never do that.
So they will avoid it, they'll duck it and dip it like, like you're bobbing and weaving. But it was something, because we talked on Zoom a while back, man, and one of the things that you said to me, and just forgive me because some of this information is just for my own selfish wanting to know curiosity, but we'll get into everything. You said something to me about the will, and for those who don't know, it's like you have the mother plane and then you have smaller planes that are on the wheel. But when you said something, you said, man, the wheel can go anywhere in the universe. And that messed my head up. I was like anywhere? And like any distance, any place in the universe like that? And the reason you said because it can create its own atmosphere.
That's right.
Can you kind of talk about that?
That's exactly what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. Now, keep in mind, when we tell the people about this man, Elijah Muhammad, we're not talking about just some normal black leader or preacher.
That's right.
What distinguishes this man from every other leader in history is the fact that Elijah Muhammad, a man who literally became the most powerful black man in America, without guns, with nothing but a truth, and his claim is that he literally met God in person.
That's right.
And was taught by God in person.
Yeah.
That distinguishes him and the Nation of Islam from every religion, from every school of thought, from every philosophical endeavor. Elijah Muhammad is clearly distinguished in the sense that he said that everything he got, he was taught directly by this God in person. He didn't say nothing like he had a dream. He didn't say he had a vision.
He went to his YouTube channel. Yeah.
He went like those preachers that said, well, I spoke to the Lord this morning, and all of a sudden he put something on my heart. It wasn't none of that.
Right.
Here's a man that tells the world very boldly that he was taught by this God who came in the person of a human being and was taught over a period of almost 3 years or so.
University of G.O.D.
And what's interesting is that all of these strange teachings that he was taught and was teaching since the early 30s have now been confirmed in the scientific world, in the world of history with empirical evidence. But what you'll find is that nobody wants to now reference these same things that he brought to the world, notably the UFO phenomena, other scientific phenomena that he first taught. These are things that the Nation of Islam since the early 1930s have been mocked and ridiculed for. But now that all the evidence proves that Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, them black Muslims are right and exact, now they don't want to have nothing to do with us. They don't even invite us to the conversation no more.
Yeah, they have UFO conventions, and they got the seminar. They got this big old community.
Come
but
on.
you know, but it's bigger than that, because you have people that might be enthusiasts, and they just are fascinated with the whole concept. But like you said, there are people who are also higher ups that know the severity, the seriousness of the meaning behind and why these wheels exist in the first place, and their purpose. Can you get into the purpose a little bit?
You're getting deep, Brother K. Reno. You're getting deep. If you'll notice, in the last maybe 2 years, now that the government has finally admitted the simple fact that these planes exist, you know, which is really even misleading, because they've always known for the last 70, almost 80 years that these planes exist. And the fact that they were just now admitting to it, it really shows that they've been lying all these years. But what they are expressing is that you hear them saying in Congress and the Pentagon officials, well, we don't know the purpose and the intent of these planes. We know that there's some superior craft, but we don't know that their intent or their purpose, in words. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad explained and gave you that from the beginning. And so part of the intent and purpose behind these anomalous crafts, as they call them now, is twofold primarily. One, it represents the healing, the kingdom of God that is to be one day established on earth. It represents the purity. It represents the solutions for every aspect of earth's problems that we face. The wisdom for the coming new world are on those crafts, particularly the huge craft known as the mother plane or the mother wheel. So that's one aspect of the purpose behind this, that heaven on earth, that healing, that life. The other part is the fact that it also represents death and destruction. You know, this is why you notice in biblical language, the prophets like Moses presented on behalf of God two signs, one of life and one of death. And so you find life, but the other part is death and destruction of this present world, which is operated and run by satanic forces.
Come on.
So that wisdom that is on that wheel, those crafts that are clearly superior than anything that this world's intelligence can even think of. They've admitted that. But the wisdom won't be fully manifested here on earth until the destruction of Satan's world. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that God would not allow that wisdom to come down in its fullness while Satan is still in power. So Satan's world has to come down, and that's a very important topic in and of itself, because these wheels are military aircraft. That's the thing, and this is why it's so important and necessary that black folks especially know the reality of this. I didn't say believe, but we should know that there is a real military power that is far greater than the powers of all of our oppressors combined. And there is no hocus pocus theoretical, hell no. This is some real powers that all the world militaries are concerned about.
Yeah, and see, and that's why when you said they try to, we don't know their purpose. Okay, so why has the whole UFO thing been labeled by government as a national security?
Come on, man.
If they didn't know, then what's the purpose of even labeling it?
See, and so you caught them in their lie.
Yeah.
They're labeling it as, and not only just a national security threat, but a top priority.
Yeah.
You know, and it has always been a top priority. If we were to look at even the declassified FBI files, we find where when the FBI arrested the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1942, they arrested him in the aftermath of what is called the Battle of LA. Long story short, the U.S. Armed Forces literally faced some of these superior wheel-shaped objects over the coast of Los Angeles in February of 1942. After realizing that these crafts, they couldn't take them down and that they were vastly superior than anything they could even fathom, they went on an all-out investigation to find out what the hell these crafts were. They were wondering, could it be Japan or some of these foreign adversaries like Germany? But in government intelligence research, they realized back in 1942 that no foreign country could have had that type of superior technology, because if a foreign adversary had that, they could have easily whooped America, taken over America and the whole world if that was the case. But the only people that were on record, official public record, for teaching about these strange crafts in specific detail was the Nation of Islam. And that's what led President Roosevelt and the FBI to go and arrest the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they questioned him about these wheels. Not no damn myths.
Yeah. You're trying to talk about not going to the war and all that. And that wasn't the reason why they arrested the messenger. Real quick, I got one more key story now. Because the technology that exists on these wheels, and we'll try to incorporate some of that footage into this interview as we're talking about it. When you see a plane that can maneuver and move in a way that the normal crafts that we see can't do. A plane that could be in one position and then rocket up and then shoot to the left in angles that are impossible. These are things that are on film. That are visual, not something that we're making up. So they understood a long time ago that they was far out of the league in terms of the technology. I wanted to ask you about this on the basis of that statement. So when they had the crash in Roswell, they talk about, this crash, this alien craft crashed in Roswell, and they found a green alien man. Can you talk about that and kind of debunk that whole presentation that the media gave? Because that's what a lot of people are still running around thinking today, that some alien craft crashed, and that's how that happened.
Point number one, white folks do lie.
Moon landing them.
White folks, they be lying, man. When I say lie, they lie on an institutional level, as a government, as a military. And that's part of their military intelligence operations, is to keep this truth covered up. That has always been the case. Even when they are releasing these so-called admissions that these planes exist, the only reason that government officials are admitting that is so that they can use that little bit of truth to mislead the public away from the greater truth, which is the fact that these planes are directly connected to the God of the Nation of Islam.
Come on, man.
This human God.
Come on.
Who is on record for being among us.
Right.
Master Farrakhan Muhammad.
Right.
He's the one responsible for the so-called UFO phenomenon. Those planes have been made under his tutelage and at his behest. But the Roswell piece is so shrouded in mystery, that's why the public don't know too much about it, and all they can do is guess and theorize. The story allegedly is supposed to be that one of these UFOs crashed and they recovered it, and now they try to say that it's some aliens and all that. Just lying. Just lying. Another point number one, beside the fact that white folks do lie, these planes that we talk about are so superior that they don't crash. But what is more than likely happen is that Almighty God Allah, as shown in all the prophecies, he would give even his enemies, he would give even the oppressor, even the devil, according to the Holy Quran, a glimpse of his superior technology.
Throw your bone. Throw your little bone.
To see how you're going to act with it. And it's in the Quran, man. It talks about how the heavens is a guarded canopy and the earth is a guarded canopy. And how God would allow Satan, plural, the Satans, the rebellious devils, to get a peek of his exalted assembly. But he promises that after they are able to get a peek of his exalted assembly, that they would be followed by a brightly shining flame.
Right.
So ever since this so-called Roswell, whatever happened, they were blessed with some
Yeah. Technology.
of God's technology
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see how you gonna act with this. You see I'm superior
Yeah.
than anything that you have. Now let's see how you act with this.
Right.
And this is what has led to so much of the reverse engineering technology. And it's also what has led to a lot of the revelations when it comes to things like a splitting of atoms, and the white man has used it not necessarily for good, but to blow up stuff. You know, blowing up countries and folks, and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. See, we see how you acting with the little bit that God gave you.
Right.
You see, but also, and I can try to wrap that part up with this. That part in the Quran lets us know, reminds us that after Satan is able to get a peek, he would be followed by a brightly shining flame. Ever since the 40s to this day, America and other militaries around the world have admitted to the fact that these wheels have been following, hovering over their nuclear sites, shutting down their nuclear sites.
Several former U.S. Air Force officers have shared that almost 70 years ago, they witnessed multiple unidentified aerial phenomenon sightings over 2 U.S. nuclear bases. Shockingly, the men also claimed that these 1964 aerial sightings occurred nearly simultaneously with the spontaneous immobilizing of the base's nuclear intercontinental ballistic missiles, suggesting that whatever or whoever was up there successfully disabled the ICBMs from above.
Literally interfering with their most advanced communications military systems. It's almost like these wheels are just showing who's superior.
Yeah, just playing with it. And there's a documented
I've seen that one.
evidence to bear witness to everything that you just said, where you have high military personnel and pilots themselves are describing what happened, what they saw, and the interference and all that. So it's documented. This ain't just brother up here saying what he just guessing.
Yeah.
You can see all this for yourself. It's just something that they are unable to explain.
That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like, look at that thing. It's rotating.
You were speaking about the guarded canopy that's mentioned in scripture, and I remember listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on YouTube when he was just talking about how they are now, he was speaking then, but it still represents for now, they're trying to get up there and get a glimpse.
Now he's going up. Allah opened up the heavens, as the Holy Quran teaches you, to let him go up there and peep in, and then bring him down to the bottom of hell. Because he's not able to stay up there. He's not able to stay nowhere, only where Allah permits him to stay. Then Allah takes him away from that at will. Anytime he will, he take him away. Oh, the white man go to the moon. Yeah, but what is the moon? It's our moon. He didn't find there where he made anything. No, he didn't make nothing up there on that moon. We made it. Let him go and peep at it.
And but they're just not able to do it. So basically, that's a great explanation. Is like God would just kind of let me give y'all a little action just to see what y'all, and then reverse engineer it and take a little bit out of it to get the little bit that they got today. You know, you got anything?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you think? Because nowadays they're showing it so much, like they're trying to get the public prepared for something, I think, in a way. Like even when they do the space, they got a space army now.
Space Force.
Space Force or something like that. So what do you think, what will come to your mind when you see them starting to do that so much? Like it's sort of like when Obama was first being president. They started to unroll it. You see like black people have this person come in, this and that. And I'm starting to see the rollout, because they always put the propaganda out first. Yeah. And then they hit you with, so do you think that the government got something going on?
Absolutely.
They're going to try to, act like they the wheel.
Absolutely. And you just hit it on it too, brother. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad already talked about it several decades ago. How the white man is trying to get a base on either the moon or even trying to get a base on Mars for the purposes of trying to monitor and even try to counter these wheels. You know? So on one sense, they are trying to get the public ready for something, but they are not trying to get the public ready for the absolute truth. What they are doing, it's a type of intelligence operation called a limited hangout. That's an intelligence operation that government and militaries use when they would go public with a little bit of truth, but they would use that little bit of truth to gain the confidence of some of the people, and then they would use that little truth to misdirect the people away from the greater truth. Now, the greater truth is the fact that those wheels, those so-called UFOs, are the result of Master Farrakhan Muhammad. And that they are here for black people, for us, and the oppressed populations. But if we don't know that there's a superior power that's actually on our side, then we would never even think we can do anything about white world powers.
And that goes into the whole myth of the green men, the greens and the grays, and all these different things, because that's a master deflection. And it's amazing how people, and I think you mentioned this in the book, how people have been conditioned to be more prone to believe in that.
I call it preemptive propaganda. That's a term I coined in the book. I call it preemptive propaganda because it's a way of conditioning the people before they even see the wheels or these planes for themselves, so that they would be so conditioned that when they see these planes for themselves, they would automatically assume that these are of maybe alien technology or some extraterrestrial stuff. Anything to keep the people from knowing the source of this phenomena. And that's why the whole concept and theories of green men and gray aliens came about. It is an attempt to misdirect the people away from the truth. And I learned that in government, in their misinformation campaigns against the Nation of Islam and against the UFO phenomena, they really don't even care which lie the public believes. And you'll notice that the lies that they put out, they're all conflicting lies. They don't even give a damn which lie you believe, as long as you don't believe the truth. That's what they're most concerned about.
I always thought, even if they was Martians and aliens, if the first person was supposed to be black, the damn alien's gonna be black. Come on. You know?
and think about it. You got to give it to the enemy. He's so clever at deceiving the public and deceiving the world. That's what Satan does. That's why he's called the arch-deceiver. He deceives the world, and he takes everything away from reality. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, the nation, has always taught the reality of these planes in that these are man-made crafts. It just so happened to be made by men of superior technology and intelligence and wisdom that's far greater than the conventional wisdom of this world. And thereby they've been able to develop aircraft that is far superior than any of the aircraft in this world. But at the bottom, at the base of this is the fact that these are man-made crafts that fly in the sky. How you gonna not believe that?
Because it's the green man that's in the sky. It's the gray man that's in the sky. And that's more believable than the belief. That's how messed up that the devil has made us, man. That's unbelievable. Even to the point where, and Keystone touched on it earlier, when you look at the pyramids and things of that nature, they would give credit to aliens more so than being able to say, well, hold on, black people did this. You know, it's amazing the lengths that they would go to not give credit where it's due. But I understand why. I get it.
They will never admit the full truth. Never.
Is there any, because I'm on the outside looking in a lot on this, so is there any documentations or records of the wheel actually coming down to the earth and actually doing stuff.
Absolutely. Look, these files and history is replete with records. Records, and nowadays, footage, pics and everything. And I'm not including the CGIs and AI, because you can make anything
That's right.
look like something these days. But yes, that's the thing. That's why it's been above top secret. But it's on their records.
Yeah, I seen the Tic Tac, whatever that was. You seen that Tic Tac?
Right.
We describe it as looking like a Tic Tac. It looks like the little breath mint in larger scale, but white, oblong, no apparent flight control surfaces, no apparent visible means of propulsion, and it was maneuvering in a way that we didn't recognize, that we couldn't classify, we couldn't identify.
It's on historical record, it's in government record, and what else is in historic and public records is the fact that the Nation of Islam is directly connected and responsible for this. And this is why it starts to make you lose respect for those who are supposed to be the historians and UFO researchers, because you hear all of these so-called UFO researchers and experts, some of whom are former government officials or former defense officials from the Pentagon and Defense Intelligence, and they studied this and they have access to even certain classified records. You mean to tell me all of these people with these resources at their expense, at their behest, you got all these resources including classified government files, but you overlook the basic declassified files that the public has that show the FBI and the government was so concerned about Elijah Muhammad's connection to these wheels that they placed him as a matter of national security. That's in the declassified files that the average Joe, hell, my 6-year-old nephew could look up on the internet and find the declassified files. So you mean to tell me these damn government officials they overlook that?
Right.
So it's difficult to even respect that. That ain't no damn scholarship.
Well,
You trying to hide something.
You think that they, in some cases, some may be on board with the agenda, but you think in some cases some of those cats have been threatened, like, hey, don't speak on that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Remember, those at the highest echelon of government and military, those are the ones who know.
Yeah.
But the other ones, even in government and military, the pilots that see these planes every day and feel threatened, they don't know about the connection to the Nation of Islam, and they've been threatened from even pursuing answers about it. That's why you started hearing these admissions in the last couple of years, because the Navy pilots that were witnessing these crafts and felt threatened, they would try to report it to their superiors, and only to find that they would just be shunned away.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where all of these military pilots felt like they had to be able to report something. They reported to their superiors and nothing happened. So that's why it ended up eventually going to Congress and the Senate. And now it's like, okay, we have to do something about it. We have to change the reporting techniques.
It's amazing how the arrogance of the white man puts it in his own mind to in one breath admit that they don't have the match. They're not able to match this technology.
They admit it.
But on the next side of the coin, they're trying to create and mobilize to go to war at some point with the same crowd. They're like, okay, you know what, man, there's no way I can beat Mike Tyson, but I'm gonna check him when I see him. You know, it's like that's how they comes off to me.
That's the mind of Satan.
Yeah.
You said it, big brother. And if we are familiar with those Bible stories, that's the mind of Satan.
Yeah.
See, God would always show his superiority even to the oppressors.
Right.
Based on the biblical stories, you see where God showed that he was way more superior than Pharaoh. He put all these plagues. He made all these miraculous things happen, sent death angels, did all of these so-called miracles, frogs, and the death of the firstborn, all of these. Of course, that's biblical symbolic language, but the principle in it is that God shows even his enemies his superiority with the hope that maybe they would submit. But 99% of the time, we see where they never submit. In fact, based on that story, Pharaoh and his oppressor, the slave master Pharaoh and his people, that made them even more mad. And made them want to go after God's people and kill God's people. That's the same mentality you just mentioned, Brother K-Reno.
Unbelievable. What do we have to do? How can we get this word? I know you've been on the job heavily, and we want to talk about the Answer documentary as well. But what can those of us who come into that information do? Because just keeping it real, you get to having this conversation with the average brother on the street. They know, man, what you talking about, man? You crazy, you throw it off. You know, so how do you relay that information out? Because it's 100% necessary.
Absolutely.
That we learn this, but it also, in my opinion, has to be relayed in a way that people can kind of grasp it, because of the fact that it's been presented as so far-fetched and so sci-fi that it's going to be hard for the people to accept. Even going through scripture.
Nowadays, if the people can actually hear the truth for themselves, it's damn near impossible not to accept it. Because the truth is so plain nowadays, the evidence is so overwhelming nowadays that you would look stupid if you don't accept today. Now, the reason it's become difficult is because all of these years, the enemy has made it where any talk of UFOs and stuff has been made to seem so fictitious, so foreign, so alien. So it's really not the people's fault if they think the UFO phenomena is just some crazy outlandish stuff, because they've never heard the truth that we represent. So one of the first and foremost things people need to do is learn the truth directly from the source. Don't be afraid to think with the Nation of Islam. Don't be afraid to listen to Minister Farrakhan, because I'm on behalf of him. And on behalf of the Nation of Islam, I'm challenging all of these so-called thinkers and scholars. Hell, sit down with us. We can prove to you what this phenomena is. And that's no hyperbole. That's no, again, religious talk. No, bring your scholarship. Bring your thinking caps. Bring your evidence. We'll bring ours. And we, on behalf of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, will show and prove to the damn world that these men have been right and exact the whole time.
No questions about it, man.
What do the nations say about like Area 57 or something?
51?
Area 51. And then also the second question was, does they say who's on these wheels? Cause I remember I was listening to Farrakhan on one of his speeches, and I think it was the Swan song, where he was saying he was going to be on the wheel not for long. So is it like the wheels with older ancient ancestors on the wheel? Because you said it's man-made.
Yep. These are man-made and man-operated crafts. But the people that made them and the people that operate them are not like your average Joe. These are people who are, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called, scientists. He even knew some of them. Had a personal relationship with some of them. They are scientists. He also used that term interchangeably with the word angels. This is what your scriptures talk about when it talks about angels. We don't believe angels, some spiritual beings that hop in something and float in the sky in that
Wings
sense.
on their back and all that.
That's fairy tale stuff. But angels are humans. They're just humans with exceptional capabilities and intelligences and even powers. And it's these angels or scientists that operate these phenomenal crafts, and just so you know, the ones that we are seeing today, they were not in existence until 1929 is when these planes lifted off. Now, that's not to say our people did not have similar crafts even thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
even millions of years ago. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that ancient wisdom that came from ancient people, us, not no damn ancient aliens, that intelligence and wisdom had been temporarily buried while Satan was given the opportunity to rule. You see? And so now these crafts that you see did not become evident until 1929, and that's why you don't have no damn sightings, no mass reports, no government concerns before then.
Right.
You see? Matter of fact, you don't get no government concerns and mass sightings starting until almost 10 years, 10 years or more afterwards.
Yeah. See, and what you just said, because we spoke about that when I talked to you a few months back, about how a lot of our ancestors, like you say, thousands of years ago, you would see, I think in the hieroglyphics, they would have pictures of crafts in the sky and all that. So that blew my mind to know that was crafts even back in those times, which was supposed to be more primitive times like that.
Because a lot of times they say it makes sense because some of the stones that was used in the pyramids seemed like they came from far away. It was way too heavy for just men just to be passing them up, and it be that direct right under the,
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, again, he said it, and it's proven true, that we had civilizations years, thousands, even millions of years ago that were vastly just as superior as today's civilizations. And those civilizations that our people had did include flight technology. Yep.
Millions of years ago.
Of course, he also taught that at a certain point we began to devolve, away from our God-like states. We walk the earth as like gods.
Right.
But we've fallen way far from that state. And that fall, as he taught, actually started some 50,000 years ago. And as we were kind of on a decline from our right state, that fall was exacerbated or made worse under the advent of the Caucasians' rule. So the last 6,000 years under the Caucasian rule has been like the worst part of that fall. It was like we were already on a decline, and then when the white man came up and started doing his thing, we just went crazy. You got the transatlantic slave trade and all of that, where we were taken all the way down. And this is why those prophecies tell us that in the great and dreadful day of the Lord, it would be one by the name of Elijah who would turn the hearts of our ancient fathers back to the hearts of the children.
Come on.
See that ancient wisdom that we lost, ancient civilizations that we don't know nothing about, is going to be this Elijah figure who serves as the access to take that wisdom and hearts of our ancient fathers and bring it back to the children, and bring the hearts and minds of the children and turn it back to our right mind that our fathers have. That's the Elijah we talking about, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Come on, man. And that's a beautiful explanation, because we've read that scripture so many times, but to the incorporation of the word ancient, that's that deep original man wisdom, that it ain't just your biological father. It goes on a lot more deeper than that. That's strong. Let's talk about the documentary Answer.
Bad boy.
Let's get into that, man, 'cause, that's something that I think everybody needs to see and know, because you did such a great job of making sure you cover everything. Like when I think about the book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, and it's how it's composed mainly of notes and writings from Jewish scholars, so it can't be argued with.
Right.
Now, even in your documentary, even in this book, there's a lot of references from people outside of us that they can't just say, well, no, that's just y'all talking like that. Break down the documentary, and I know what sparked it, but just anything you want to mention about it.
Well, what we've been on tour with as of late, and what we are releasing now, is really the second installment of our documentary series titled Answered. The first installment was called Answered and subtitled The Prelude. And it was in that episode that we kind of gave a cursory overview of this subject matter, so that anybody that just wants to know something about the truth of this phenomena, you watch that and in 1 hour, you would have to bear witness to the truth. So that was to lay just a basic foundation and give just a general overview. In truth, we didn't even plan on the first one being a full documentary. I was in the process of making damn near like a trailer. And it seemed like this trailer that I was making was becoming longer and longer and longer. And my wife was like, well, hell, baby, you ought to make that a movie in itself. Okay. So that became the first episode, and we shared that, and it got a lot of traction. And people were like, man, I didn't know. I'm talking about intelligent people, intelligent, educated people who were in many ways familiar with the Nation of Islam and just had no idea of the Nation of Islam's connection to what they call the UFO phenomena. So that started it. But now this one right here, this episode or installment that we're on now, which is part 2, titled Answered, The Coming of God. This is a little more comprehensive because this is like a 2-hour episode, 2-hour documentary film. Just over 2 hours, to be honest with you, and it's very comprehensive, and it deals with the source of this phenomena and the coming of God. Because as we stated earlier, all the scriptures, all the major religions, all of the prophecies foretell of God's intervention in human affairs, in humanly form, with the accompaniment of some type of heavenly flying aircraft, called in the scriptures things like flying chariots, called in the scriptures and the prophecies things like God's wheel and these wheels within wheels that Ezekiel foresaw, in describing the scriptures as a cloud by day and pillar of fire by night, described as a New Jerusalem, the city of the living God that's up in heaven somewhere, described in the Holy Quran as Allah's throne of power that's stationed in the heavens above the waters. So all the scriptures talk about this, but again, the only ones that show you the actual fulfillment of what all these scriptures talk about is the Nation of Islam.
Come on, man.
But they want to look at us like we're crazy.
Well, you know, that's the plan, to put it out there like the nation is crazy, and then to make Negroes follow suit and co-sign, and you know. But that's why we got you here, big brother, because we gonna debunk all that as much as we gonna do our part to make sure that we can debunk all that and get that going. So by the time this airs, the event that's taking place at Muhammad Mosque 145, that'll already been happened. But where can they get this book and that documentary?
The book and the documentary, as long as a host of other resources that we have, can be accessed through our website, which is nationbrothers.com. Nationbrothers.com is like a hub for many of our resources, whether it's our books like UFOs and the Nation of Islam, or our other books exposing the war against Islam, or whether it's some of our merchandise, whether it's
mixtape.
Not yet, brother Keith.
With the Negro spirituals on.
Come on.
There you go.
But stay tuned.
There you go.
I mean, we have other resources like, I'm a beekeeper.
Okay.
I've been a beekeeper for 10, 11 years, and I teach people how to become beekeepers. So we have instructional courses. You can also access that from nationbrothers.com. And of course, the documentary series and Answered, you should be able to access that likewise on nationbrothers.com. So I trust that any reasonable thinking human being, even if you don't like the Nation of Islam,
get out your
even
feelings.
if you're one of our worst critics,
Get out your feelings.
I trust that when you watch this, and why do I say it so confidently? Because I've already seen the reactions of those who are our critics. some our staunchest critics and even enemies, how when they watch this and when they engage us, they can't say nothing. There have been some who was admitted and got out of their feelings, like, hell, that's real.
I bear witness.
So I would encourage any of us, whether friend or foe, if you want to know the truth, you need to get to the source of that truth. And that's what we're taught as educators and those in academia, those in law. You know that when you want to get to the truth of something, you have to get to the source. So the source of this phenomena starts with that little black man from Georgia.
Come on.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the man that represents him and this power on earth is the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. So you come to them for the truth. And since we are his students, feel free to come to us. Ask us those challenging, difficult questions that you think we can't answer.
Because that was one thing I was going to ask you. Just going through the training of being like Farrakhan's part of his research team. What was it through that got you to where you are at today, that helped you become this person that's able to just pass off all this information and can just constantly go through the layers?
You know, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan makes it really easy for us. I tell people all the time, I go different places, people think, oh, Brother Rashad, he's some scholar, he writes books and all of this, and they think I'm so smart. And personally, I don't even think I'm that smart. But what I've done is availed myself to the wisdom and guidance that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan provides on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And because of that, it has catapulted me and is still catapulting me and several thousands of others to the point where a little brother like me who failed high school 3 times and had to go to summer school 3 years in a row just to graduate on time is now having world scholars run from me because they don't want to deal with the truth that we present that is incontestable, that is invincible.
Come on.
So it ain't me. But because I'm just exposed to that invincible truth, now we can walk around with confidence and call out the scholars, call out the leaders. And you notice how they ain't answered or responded?
No, they ain't gonna answer. And just the Honorable Elijah Muhammad having the 3rd grade education, going up to the 3rd grade,
Come
you know, and all the had just, like you say, confused and puzzled the so-called scholars of the world. So he's the ultimate example.
Come on.
And gods make gods. You know?
Right.
So that's
a bar. That's another bar.
That's what we see, bro. A couple more before we get y'all, big brother. Like, you know, I got my little personal question. I heard where the messenger speaks about some of the planets being inhabited and all of that. Do you know? I believe it because I just don't believe the universe is this big and we the only ones. That's ridiculous to me. All these different galaxies and all of that. Is that anything you can speak on in terms of just enlighten us on this even just within our own solar system or outside of that? Has there ever been any teaching that like speaks to what is on those other, even the exoplanets outside?
He has taught on that.
Yeah.
And it's very public.
Yeah.
He taught, and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan echoes what he's taught, that most of the planets in our solar system are inhabited with life.
Right.
Now, what type of life are on those may vary. Some of that life may be tiny microbial life. But he did mention that on some of the planets, like Mars, that the life that's on there does include what seems to be like humanoid type life.
Do they look like K? They always say K has alien head.
Alien baby. They call me alien baby for a reason.
Oh Lord! Now, I ain't never seen him, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did say in regard to the people on Mars, they are somewhat similar to us.
Now he's making instruments to look at the civilization on Mars. Well, when he see what's on Mars, he won't see no mark of his. It's our Mars, our people, so God have taught me, and that he didn't know they was there until just a few days ago. He used to look at Mars and just call it a star, and that's all. But our fathers made it with some type of intelligent beings like ourselves. They walk on 2 feet or hinds. They are not animals. They are intelligent people. The marks that we see on Mars is not from an ignorant, silly, uncivilized person. They show signs of civilization. And they look something similar to us, not exactly, but they look similar. They walk on 2 feet, and they're not white folks.
But of course, their life and their lifestyle is directly germane to the terrain of Mars. And some of that life is, I guess you could say, subterranean, under the surface and whatnot. But he did mention the life that is still on Mars and some of the other planets.
Yeah, I heard about it. They live like 1,200 Earth years. It's like their lifespan, and they much taller and all of that. Like,
Yes.
They cats thinking they can colonize these planets, and I mean, just hilarious to me, man. The last thing I have is like a lot of people talk about the UFOs and the Anunnaki and all of that. You know, what can you enlighten people on that? Because we try to connect so many different things.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said very plainly that we don't need a man to teach us theories. We don't need somebody up here guessing and giving us theories. He said we need a man who knows and doesn't guess. Elijah Muhammad is a man who knows, who was taught directly by the Supreme Being.
Come on.
So what he has presented to the world is heavily empirically grounded in the supreme wisdom that is rooted in actual facts that are now being confirmed in the world of science and in the real world in general. So he doesn't bring us theories, but what you'll find is that people have been distracted away from this plain truth, no pun intended, but plain truth.
No question.
They've been distracted away from this plain truth, and now they are heaping upon these different theories that are not proven. So now, instead of dealing with the plain proven truth of what Elijah Muhammad said, you want to hear people talk about the Anunnaki from the ancient Sumerian text. You're dealing with stories of yore.
Okay.
I mean, that's like saying these Greek myths and stuff.
Right.
And not only are you dealing with ancient stories, but you're dealing with people's, particularly the white man's, interpretation of ancient stories.
Wow. Wow.
And we want to take these damn theories and hold that above the plain truth.
Come on, man.
See, that's how Negroes think. You know, Negroes don't want to accept actual facts.
Right.
You want something that sound deep. So now you into some stuff you don't know nothing about. The Anunnaki, see the Nubiru, see the fifth sun and the seventh moon, and see some stuff that you don't know what the hell you talking about.
Right.
But this is called a mathematical theology. Why? Because you can prove it in no limited time. But Negroes don't like stuff you can prove. Negroes like some stuff to make them feel good.
Yeah, we like to argue. Argue when the person is right. Big brother, we thank you so much, man, for giving us your time and coming through and blessing us with this knowledge and this information. And we are all, I can speak personally for myself, I'm looking forward to learning so much more. Because, like I say, this is something that fascinated me before I even knew what the Nation of Islam was. You know, so this was just a blessing to like, okay, this us, okay, cool. So we thank you again, family, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. We will have all the information where they can order the book, they can order the documentary, and any other products that you have going on. So Appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you, man. Love y'all, man. Love y'all,
Love
man.
you too, family member.
You guys, I want to sit and learn how to make a wheel.
Oh man, you got
Learn not to talk to. We get in
hey man.
Rule number 1: get off drugs. Man, it's been a blessing, bro.
Underground Dialogue Podcast, where the name speaks for itself,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Brother Ilia Rashad Muhammad, man. Thank you so much. Brother William, thank you for these waters.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Speaking in the building. What's your name, brother?
Brother Javon.
Brother Javon, man. Thank y'all for just being here, man.
Absolutely.
Coming
Yes,
here,
sir.
man.
This is wonderful, man.
Your sandwich in your pocket.
Man.
Next time. Yes, sir. But man, y'all know the name speaks for itself. It's your big brother K Reno.
And your boy Keith Stove.
Out. Hey, what up, man? It's your big brother K Reno. I'm proud to announce that I'm a new brand ambassador to this new brand of clothing and shoes called Rollouts. Y'all make sure that y'all support this. It's already available. Houston-based company, straight out the A's. Look at the quality of the packaging itself. We ain't even got to the shoes yet, man. And this is just one pair of shoes, one design. They got all kinds of dope designs of shoes that you guys can choose from. Go to rollouts.biz and find your order, find what you want. Wide selection to choose from, male and female items, and I'm proud to be a part of it, man. Community workers, versatile products, rollouts, manufactured in Italy. Look at the quality of this box, man. Y'all don't know what it is. Catch y'all later on. Peace.
Level legit clothes, so get used to people asking you, yo, where you get those? Say we wear Volas. We showing up. We wear Volas. Next brand blowing up. We wear Volas. Get yours tried on. We wear Volas. World when you got it on. We wear Volas. The slogan we go by. The streets to the streets, we accommodate both sides. So many fresh styles attracted to your eyes. So we gon' put them on and let the whole world know why. We wear Volas. Get yours tried on. We wear Volas. World when you got it on. We wear Volas. The slogan we go by. The streets to the streets, we accommodate both sides. So many fresh styles attracted to your eyes. So we gon' put them on and let the whole world know why. We wear Volas. Get yours tried on.
Man, it's your big brother K Reno, and check this out, man. The Underground Dialogue Podcast is offering advertising opportunities, man. You can promote your business, you can promote your video, your song, whatever it is that you have, man. Reach out to us if you're interested in promoting on the Underground Dialogue Podcast. All you gotta do is email us at undergrounddialoguepodcast@gmail.com. Get it. And man, look, we got some merch that's just gonna blow y'all away. It's gonna blow y'all. When y'all see the merch, y'all gonna be wanting to just dive through the screen.
We got some coming for you, man. We building, man. We building. So watch that as we grow.
Already.
I wonder if they ready. They ain't ready to have this conversation. Or these kind of conversations. But guess what? We gonna have them anyway. Underground dialogue. We gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? Not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. Underground dialogue. We gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? Not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. From the industry to the Oval Office, we expose the darkest motives of them all and disclose what the protocol is. Thinking and moving logical, stopping every maneuver possible, and apologizing for truth is not optional. We gon' help you with what you go through, reshape and mold you, and sweep over them weak lies they told you. If you living with no clue, we gon' deprogram the old you, and you get to keep your soul too.